Welcome to Are You Quizzing Me? I'm Vinit Nair with my co-host Aditya Kashyap. This is a quizzing trivia podcast show. Join us as we dive deep into history, science, sport, pop culture, and so much more. Let's get quizzing. And we're back. Another day, another episode of quizzing. But before we start off with the proceedings, there is this small thing that we have to get out of the way. This tiny pins and needles question that Aditya had posed to us last week. Aditya, what do you have to say for yourself?
So this is gonna have some spoilers for a movie. In case people haven't watched the movie, please stop it once I mention the name if you don't want it to be spoiled. The movie that has the worst return on investment is $1 million baby. Vineet, if you have a baby which is worth $1 million,
Oh
why
God.
would you
No.
make a movie when their baby instead not wait for a few years and let the value appreciate? For it to be $1 billion baby, $1 billion adult, perhaps
Ah.
for that matter. And what happens in the end? The $1 million baby dies. It's such a waste of money. I think it was wasted.
Clint Eastwood is going to shoot you dead.
Speaking of Clint Eastwood, by the way, I think a movie which has had a great return on investment, A Fistful of Dollars.
Okay, I'll give you that one. I'll give you that
Yeah,
one.
all
Yes.
right.
Okay. And now that's surprisingly clever answer out of the way. Aditya, let's start you off with the proceedings with a question from you.
Alrighty. This is going to be a very straightforward question. I'm not sure how straightforward the answer would be. Vineet,
Okay.
what is a micromort?
Micromort.
Okay, let me give a little bit more context. It's a unit of measurement. What is this unit of measurement for?
Um, Micro is obviously 10 raised to minus 6. Mort is something that's 10 raised to minus 6. Okay. No, I'll need a clue. I'll need a clue. I have nothing to tell
Okay,
you.
I'll
No.
tell you the micromort for certain things, and you can tell me if you know what that means. Okay,
Okay.
running a marathon is 7 micromorts. Murder is 10 micromorts. Skydiving is 8 micromorts. Ecstasy is 0.5 micromorts.
Hmm.
Any clue as to what a micromort is?
Something has kind of clicked and just
Mhm,
suddenly occurred to be that mort is a derivative of Latin for death.
mhm,
Voldemort, Flight of Death. Call back to a
mhm,
previous episode.
mhm, mhm.
But so micromort would be 10 raised to minus 6 of death. Of
You're pretty close.
You're
I'll give it to
nodding.
you.
I Okay.
You're very
You're
close. I'll
nodding.
give it to you.
Okay.
It's the unit of risk, which is defined as the chances of death 1 in a million. So 1 in a million chances of death, and it is
10
used
raised to
to
6 is 1 million. Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So 10 raised
exactly.
to
So
minus 6.
analyze the risk of various activities. You use a micromort.
Oh, okay.
So
So if you're saying 7 micromort, so then that'd be
yeah,
7 by 1 million. So 7 in a million.
7 in a million chances. So I use 7 for a marathon. So
Ah,
if in a given run, there's 7 in a million chances if there were, which basically just means if you ran a marathon 1 million times, or if there were 1 million people who were running one marathon, there's a chance that 7 of them would die. Or you, out of the million times you ran, 7 of those times you potentially could die. So yes, a marathon has a 7 micromort. Murder homicide has 10 micromorts per year, and this is for specifically for England. So there's a 10 in a million chances of
of
being
getting murdered in
killed by
England.
murder in a year. I would imagine this will vary based on which place and stuff, but this is specifically for England. Likewise, like homicide in Canada would be
Huh.
15, and murder and manslaughter in the US is 48. So US being
Whoa. Yeah,
significantly
that's quite
more.
high. Yeah.
A couple of interesting other ones, a lot of leisure and sport ones. So scuba diving for people who have some level of training, that's 5 in a million chances per dive to die. Paragliding is 74 times, 74 in a million per jump. Skiing is very low, 0.7.
When you express this in Micromorts, it just seems a lot scarier. Because if you actually told somebody that you have a 7 in a million chances of dying in a marathon, you wouldn't think anything of it. But when you say you have 7 Micromorts, now it sounds very different.
I'll tell you, because the chances of dying of any cause in the US is 22 in a million per day. So that itself is just 22 in a million.
So basically, you are more likely, you are 3 times more likely to die if you are an American than if you actually ran a marathon.
I'm not sure of the math on that, but that does sound funny and poignant. I mentioned ecstasy, which is zero point 0.5 micromorts per tablet. So if you take one tablet of ecstasy, that's zero point 0.5 micromorts. 5 in
Hmm.
10 million in that case. Yeah. Whereas giving birth, oh boy, this is so scary, is 120 micromorts. It is 120 in a million chances of dying while giving birth. So that
Yeah.
is, I
Thank God
hope
we're
there
male.
are no expect. I hope there are no expectant parents listening to this. And if you are, hey, I'm sure these numbers are skewed because of bad healthcare. So if you are privileged enough to be listening to a podcast, I imagine you have access to good healthcare. So take
Yeah.
solace in that.
That was a great question. So I'm going to shift to a slightly different question. Ultratech Cement Limited is an Indian cement company based in Mumbai, part of the Aditya Birla Group. It is the largest manufacturer of grey cement, ready mix concrete, and white cement in India. In the past, they've sponsored IPL teams like the Deccan Chargers and the Rajasthan Royals. In 2007, they were the main sponsors of which World Cup winning squad?
So you're asking me who won the World Cup in 2007?
No, yeah, you can tell me the sport also. I mean, like, I'll give it to you if you can give me the sport.
2007 was the Cricket World Cup as well, right? Yeah, it was.
Question is, Ultratech Cement sponsored a
Hmm.
team which went on to win the World Cup.
Okay.
So tell me which team.
Okay, so can I clarify or can I ask for this hint or clarification? Is it Cricket World Cup?
No, it's not
The
the Cricket World Cup.
2007?
No, it's
Oh,
not cricket.
interesting. What World Cup happened in 2007? Boy, my sports lack of sports knowledge is going to show. Um,
Okay, let me just put
Hockey
it
by
this
any
way. You
chance?
don't need you don't need sports knowledge for this. I need a very specific answer. You'll have to be a little more
Hmm.
specific, but you don't need sports knowledge.
Is it the Indian hockey team? But
Be
they
more
didn't win the
specific.
World Cup. Oh, 2007. I know this. This is the Chak De India women's hockey team.
Yes, yes, it is the Chuck the
It is
India women's hockey team, which is sponsored by Ultratech Cement. For those listeners who are not Indian, Chuck the India is a very grounded Hollywood movie, sorry, Bollywood movie starring Shah Rukh Khan, and it's about an underdog team which goes on to win the women's hockey world field hockey World Cup. So in the universe of the movie, they were sponsored by Ultratech Cement. So this was something of a slight googly of a question, but Aditya has successfully sidestepped the googly and hit it for a six.
okay. Let's go back to medicine, the medical field. Micromorts had to do with death, so the medical field. All right. Okay, so the story goes that there were clinical
Mhm.
trials being conducted in the Morrison Hospital in Swansea. They were trying to cure, Pfizer was trying to cure, Pfizer was the one conducting the
Mhm.
trials, was trying to cure hypertension and angina
Mhm.
pectoris, which I believe is an
Okay.
ischemic heart disease.
It's a symptom of ischemic heart disease.
All right, perfect. So they realized that this particular drug was not very effective in what they were trying to cure. However, it did have an unintended side effect. What did this lead to?
The first thing that comes to mind, but it's not exactly fitting it, but I'll just try that as my first guess. Are we talking about sildenafil citrate?
I think it is
Vi-
the right word. Yes, yes, yes. What is commonly known as?
Viagra.
Ah, yes, you are right. You are absolutely right. I can't believe you threw the technical word in my face, Vinny. Stop making me look like an idiot.
Because Viagra is a brand name.
You are right. You are absolutely right. Viagra is the brand name, I believe, owned by Pfizer, but it
Yes.
is that compound that you speak of, sildenafil something.
Sildenafil citrate.
That sound you just made, yes, that compound is the one that is in question here. You're right. They realized that a lot of the men who underwent the trial were complaining of the side effect of erections that were lasting longer than they were used to. And Pfizer realized that this can be easily marketed for erectile dysfunction. And that
Hmm.
brought about the introduction of Viagra by Pfizer. And it has become one of the most commonly sold drugs across the world. Yeah.
Yes. If you this is something you will have to probably fact check this because I'm saying most of this from memory. But there are like everybody, as you said, most people don't know Viagra as sildenafil citrate. They know it as Viagra, and brand names have come very synonymous with the drug. So if I'm not mistaken, you will have to fact check this, but I believe that heroin is a brand name,
Oh, okay.
and if I'm also not mistaken, adrenaline is a brand name.
Wow. All
The
right. I would.
the technical term is actually epinephrine. Adrenaline, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the brand names. I think it's Bayer. I'm not sure. You'll have to check it. It's from the turn of the century. There's a big list of. I have it somewhere. I'm not able to find it right now, but I have a list of these drugs which are now known by their brand names rather than their generic names because they've become so
Okay.
synonymous with the brand name.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. That's a pretty cool little piece of additional trivia. Thanks, mate.
I think even
Okay.
aspirin also belongs to that category, but again, fact checking may be required.
I
But yeah,
think
sure.
aspirin. I'm also quite certain it belongs in that category. Yeah. The other two, I'm quite surprised. Heroin and adrenaline.
So, 7 Up was intended originally as a delivery system for lithium, which was a mood
Wow.
stabilizer.
Okay.
Okay. Pepsi got its name because it was supposed to be not very
Right.
effective, but supposed to be to solve dyspepsia, hence the name
Yeah.
Pepsi. There are so many of these crazy kind of formulations that people came up with in the turn of the century. I say turn of the century, I mean the turn of the previous century, not the century.
Not not this
Because
century.
I'm a child of
I
the 90s
mean,
and I still remember of the turn of the century as 1900.
that would have been really cool if the during our childhoods, like Coca Cola had cocaine in it, because that would have been a fun little childhood then.
Given
Unfortunately,
the
they have
amount
removed
of
it.
Coca Cola that I consumed, I don't think I would have gone beyond the age of 20.
But man, Vinny, those 20 years would have been something to write stories about.
No, okay. Now this is going to be. I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion, but you've read Stephen. Are you a Stephen King fan?
I have read some, yes.
Yes. So the Stephen King has like two distinct phases. The first phase is the phase in the 80s where he was completely coked up and on alcohol. Like, the book Cujo and subsequent
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
Cujo.
yeah.
He doesn't even remember writing the book. No, I shit you not. It's true. He's actually
Oh,
admitted it in
wow.
interviews that he does not remember writing Cujo. But the fact is, if you read his novels and collections of stories from that phase, they are just
Mhm,
insane. So we have Carrie, we have Cujo, Pet Cemetery. They're all from that phase. Insanely dark stories. Now that
mhm.
he's sober, the stuff that he releases is very tame.
I'm glad he's not addicted to a substance like cocaine, which can be very harmful. But on the other hand, it's a small loss to literature, I guess.
No, I
But
mean, like,
that's
yeah, see,
it's not.
as a human being, obviously, yes, but uh, as they say, the best art comes from pain and from suffering.
Mm,
Van
yeah.
Gogh and Stephen King, and they have so it's a controversial opinion, but I do prefer his earlier work.
All right. So I'm going to tell you a little story, and you can tell me what came out at the end of this. Okay.
Okay.
So the year is 1968, and This little boy is quite sad because his parents are separating. To console him,
Hmm.
a beautiful piece of pop culture was created. What do I refer to?
This is 1968.
Yeah.
My mind wants to go to the Beatles' White Album. Okay, this Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, but no, that's
No,
not
no,
Lucy. It's a boy, right? So then it'll be Let It Go. Let it be. Let it be.
no, no, no,
No,
no.
no. Let it be. Na, na,
So do you
na,
know the
song.
the parents separating? Who am I referring to? I think that should be obvious.
Yoko hadn't come onto the scene yet.
Oh no, Yoko had. Yoko had.
Yoko had? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yoko was there in this.
So it is. You're right.
Okay.
You're close enough. I guess John Lennon was separating from his wife Cynthia
Okay.
because his affair with Yoko Ono had come out,
That's
and
okay. Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So then Lennon songs,
So
which are
in,
practically half the Beatles discography. Uh,
oh, interestingly, not a Lennon song.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Not a
The
Lennon song.
separation is
Was about
Lennon
Lennon.
and Cynthia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other clues?
John Lennon had a son who was a 5 year old at the time, and
Okay.
McCartney was driving over to the house. And on the way to the house, apparently, he composed this song to console this little boy. I'll tell you the name of the young child. It was Julian. You're gonna kick yourself in the butt when you hear what the answer is. Okay, let me ask it another way. Which is the most famous Beatles song you know, Vineet?
The most okay, so the most famous would be a little difficult because the Beatles are there. There
Okay, name
is
three Beatles song quickly.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, Let It Be. Like I've already
Okay,
told.
two, two more. Then apart from the ones that you've already named, I'm sure you'll get it. It's just you cannot not know the song. It's impossible.
Okay, okay.
Julian was also called Jules.
Hey Jude. Is it Hey Jude? It's Hey Jude. It's Hey Jude. It's
It
Hey
is Hey
Jude.
Jude.
Yes.
It is Hey
Okay. Now
Jude.
this is where I'm actually going to kick myself. I did know this piece of trivia. It just hit me when I said Hey Jude. The whole thing about Lennon, McCartney in the car. Yes, I did know this. Oh God, my memory is becoming like Swiss cheese now.
McCartney was apparently writing or composing the song on the way over to their house when he heard of the fact that they're splitting up, and he had written it as a song "Hey Jules," which he eventually changed it to "Hey Jude" because he said that it sounded better.
Okay. So it's my turn to ask a question. This is a very straightforward question. I think you'll get this quite quickly. Cocaine Bear is a 2023 black comedy thriller inspired by the true story of a real life American black bear which accidentally overdosed on a duffel bag full of cocaine. The dead bear is currently on display at the Kentucky for Kentucky Fun Mall in Lexington, Kentucky. The unlucky bear has two nicknames, one named after a cartoon character and the other after an infamous individual. Can you tell me what those nicknames are?
Yogi,
No.
Yogi
Let's
Bear,
remember that this is a bear that died after stuffing its face with cocaine.
Scarface.
No.
No.
Think more pun like. It's not a straightforward nickname, it's a pun.
Okay.
Both the names are puns. It's a pun based on the name of a famous individual and a famous cartoon character.
Is the cartoon character bear as well? Because I'm trying to make a pun out of Winnie the
Yes, it
Pooh.
is. It is a bear. It is a bear.
Is it a pun on Winnie the Pooh by any chance?
No, it's not.
Oh, God.
Afsos, but no.
So that's why I first said Yogi because Yogi Bear, but you
Yeah.
said it's not Yogi.
No,
It's
I would
something
suggest
else.
focus on the infamous individual. No, when you think of
Infamous
cocaine,
individual.
who do you think of?
I generally Scarface. So, but okay, but is it a fictional or non-fictional character person?
No, it's a real person.
Some rock star? I don't know. Somebody in
No, no,
the
no, 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 no,
rock
no,
and roll. Oh,
no, 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 no.
Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar. Is it Pablo
Yes, it
Escobar?
is Pablo Escobar. So one name
Pablo
is
Escobar.
Pablo Escobar, and
Okay.
the other one, I'll give you the name of the
Is there?
cartoon character if you can tell me the pun that is it. The cartoon
Okay.
character is Smokey the Bear.
Snorty the bear?
No. Koki the bear.
Koki. Okay, that's funny. Koki the man.
On September 11th, 1985, a former Lexington Police Department narcotics officer turned drug smuggler, Andrew C. Thornton II, was trafficking cocaine from Colombia into the United States. After dropping off a shipment in Blairsville, Georgia, Thornton and an accomplice departed in a self piloted Cessna. En route, the duo dropped a load of 40 plastic containers of cocaine into the wilderness before abandoning the plane above Knoxville, Tennessee. Thornton was killed instantly when his parachute failed to open. According to the FBI, Thornton dumped his cargo because the load of two men, in addition to the cocaine, was too heavy for the plane to carry. On December 23rd, almost 2 months later, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation reported finding a dead black bear that had eaten a large amount of the cocaine from the jettisoned containers. The containers held about 34 kilograms of cocaine, valued at $2 million. And by the time the scene was studied by government authorities, all the containers had been ripped open with their contents scattered. The chief examiner from the Georgia State Camp Crime Lab, Dr. Kenneth Alonso, stated that the bear's stomach was literally packed to the brim with cocaine.
Very nice. Okay. Let us. I'm still entertained by just Koki the
Pablo
bear,
Escobar.
Pablo Escobar, and Koki the bear. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go to one of my classic here's a story questions.
Yes.
So here's a story. Frank McNamara, I'm not sure how to say it, but okay, was
McNamara.
dining with his McNamara. Do you already know the answer, Vineet? What? How are you
No.
already correcting me? Okay. Okay.
No, I know how that name is pronounced. That's all. Yeah.
All right. Thank God. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if you had figured it out, but okay. Frank McNamara was dining with his clients and realized he had left his wallet in another suit. His wife paid the bill, and this led McNamara to think of a wonderful little change, or rather creation, an invention as such, that would change the way we pay. What did he come up with?
Is this the origin of the credit card?
Not exactly, but close.
The ATM card.
No, no.
Okay. Okay, those are my two best guesses. Then both thrown out the window. Okay, so he did not have. He forgot his purse, right?
Yes, you're very close. Obviously, you're very very close. And I will go so far as to saying a lot of historians would say this is the beginning of contemporary credit, but it isn't the
Okay.
credit card in general. It is something a lot more specific.
See, the first credit cards were Diners Club cards.
Well,
Is
you're
that
you're there. You're there. It is diners club. So they were dining, and he thought of a way of making paying at restaurants and multi-purpose payments
but I
easier.
but
And
Diners
with the
Club
diners club,
still. I mean, like they do issue credit cards, right? Those were credit cards, no? I
no,
mean, just
you
I'm
you're right. Okay, it was credit card. It was just the diners club was formed when
okay. So it's only
he.
for when it started. It was only for eating out.
I believe that's how it originated, and it was specifically
Okay.
the company Diners Club. Yeah, the idea for Diners Club was conceived at this particular restaurant. And here's another additional piece of trivia, and you can
Uh huh.
actually answer this question. So here's a part two to the question. McNamara
Uh-huh.
returned to the same restaurant the following February 1950, so next year
A
in
year.
February,
Okay.
and he paid for his meal using a cardboard charge card and a signature. So that was perhaps the first time a card was used in such a purpose, and the
Hmm.
story became well known. The Diners Club official history refers to
Hmm.
this meal as what? Since you asked
So
me
I'm
for a
guessing
pun-based answer,
they have
I'm
a
gonna
very
ask
clever
you.
name for it. I'm guessing
Well,
cardboard.
very is not not necessarily very clever, but somewhat clever. It's a
Cardboard with a
biblical
card.
reference.
A biblical reference to a card.
No, not card.
Okay. A commandment then.
To eating.
A biblical reference to eating. That would be the feast at Cana, where Jesus turned water to wine.
No, no, not that.
No. Okay. What other eating references are there in the Bible? Okay, let's start with Genesis. The apple.
We'll, we'll make our way forward. No, I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
It is also a famous painting.
The Last Supper.
So
So
the
it'll be the
Diners Club
last.
official history refers to this meal as the first supper
Ah,
and
okay.
is
Nice.
credited
Nice.
by the historians as the beginnings of contemporary credit. That's how.
No, that's a very nice question. Very nice question. In 2016, children across the world and their parents were in utter shock as the head of Egypt's State Information Service claimed that X was the root cause of all the violence that happens in the Arab world. Soon after the speech was delivered, Yom 7, an Egyptian newspaper, published an article titled Five Accusations X Faces in Egypt and explained about how it is helping children to come up with sinister plans and encourages the use of weapons like guns, chainsaws, etc. So I just need you to identify X, which was identified by the head of Egypt's State Information Service as being the root cause of all the violence that happens in the Middle East.
I would roll out the usual suspects. Is it a video game? Is it
You have to.
comic
It's a
book?
specific intellectual property that you have to. You'll need to give me something really specific.
But is it specifically they say that this has ruined or whatever, this has caused all these issues in the Middle East only, or is it generally across the
Okay, so
world they claim
okay.
this?
Let me just put it this way. Okay, he also offered the example of violent movies and video
Hmm.
games along with
Hmm.
this. Okay, and I quote, blank or X portrays the violence in a funny manner and sends the message that yes, I can hit him and I can blow him up with explosives. It becomes set in the viewer's mind that this is natural.
Is it Grand Theft Auto, the game
No.
GTA?
No, I mean, he specifically mentioned this particular intellectual property, but he also went on to blame video games.
Okay.
But that's like a general, like he just mentioned video games in general, saying that it has become very normal from a young man to spend long hours playing video games, killing and spilling blood, and he's happy and content.
Which year was this?
This is in 2016. So there's one particular intellectual property. I'll give you an additional clue. It's a cartoon.
Roadrunner?
Very
Not a
good guess,
blowing
but
up.
no.
Okay.
Very good guess, but
Dexter's
no.
Dexter's Lab, but there's no
You're
killing of
getting a little
people.
colder. You were very warm with Roadrunner, so
And it's not Bugs Bunny?
it's not Bugs Bunny. Let's say that you're in the wrong animation house right now. Your guesses have all
So
been in the
it's
wrong animation house.
so is it it's not Hanna-Barbera.
No, it is Hanna-Barbera.
Oh wait, it is Hanna-Barbera. Bugs Bunny is
Warner Brothers.
oh right, it's one of those. Hanna-Barbera.
It was created by Hanna and Barbera,
Hmm.
and it is owned by Warner Brothers from 1986 onwards. But it
Okay.
was created by Hanna Barbera.
And it's one of those classic cartoons that everybody has seen. Okay, I'm gonna reel off a few. Let me know when I hit the one. Um, mm, Tom and Jerry.
It is Tom and
Okay.
Jerry.
All right. All right. Okay.
He basically said it in a speech at Cairo University. He said all the things which I've already mentioned before. And
Hmm.
on the privately owned media website Yum7, an article popped up after his speech which said five accusations Tom and Jerry faces in Egypt. The article was about how children learn bad habits from the American cartoons, such as smoking, stealing, and drinking booze. And it also opines that the cartoon warps the idea of justice, helps children come up with sinister plans, and encourages the violence and the use of sharp instruments such as knives, guns, and chainsaws.
Oh come on! Tom and Jerry is one of the least violent cartoons out there. It is
Oh, how dare you! Like
okay.
Tom comes up every month, every day, every week with different ways to kill Jerry. It is only by the
Fair
grace
enough.
of
Fair
God that
enough.
Jerry survives.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's a very silly quote, but it's a very fun question. So I like that. Okay. Technically, technically, and this is my
Hmm.
next question. So technically, Prince Charles, before he became the king, had a scam being run in his name. Which
Okay.
famous scam do I speak of?
As in the scam was called the Prince Charles? Like, what are we
No, it is
talking
not
about?
called the Prince Charles. There's just a lot of technicalities in this question. I just love the
Okay.
coincidence of it.
He's had a lot of, you know, controversial, parts of his life. Is it anything related to that?
Technically,
The
it has
whole.
nothing to do with him, but
Okay.
to do with an entirely different country.
Entirely different country.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to do anything with the UK, technically.
Would it be Nigeria?
Yes, you are right. Can you make
So
the
it's,
connect for
it's
me, though?
the Nigerian prince scam would now be called the Prince Charles scam or something like that, or they claim to be Prince
Okay.
Charles.
So, despite the fact that Nigeria has this very popular Nigerian prince scam, Nigeria has not been a monarchy in the longest of times, and the last
Okay.
monarch that Nigeria did have was Elizabeth II back in the 1960s. So the last Nigerian prince that ever existed was Prince Charles. So if there was ever a Nigerian prince, if
Okay.
there was
Okay.
ever a Nigerian prince who had lost his right to the throne and wanted to come back into power in Nigeria, that would have been Prince Charles.
Okay. That's a nice one. That's a nice one. Okay.
I'm just picturing Charles sitting on a computer and just typing away email saying, "Hey, can you send me some money? I need to go back to Nigeria and get my throne."
Another recommendation coming through. There is an extremely funny series available on Netflix called The Windsors.
Okay.
It is just drop dead funny. You have to watch it. Anybody who's
All right.
listening, please watch it. It is well worth your time, especially if you know anything about the royal family. It is the height of absurdity. So let's move on to history. Okay, you've heard of the Sumerian civilization, one of the oldest known civilizations in recorded human history. So
Hmm.
Sumerian texts repeatedly refer to three important centers with which they traded. The first is Magan, which is currently believed to refer to an area encompassing parts of modern day the UAE and Oman. The second
Okay.
is Dilmun, which I've been taught all my life is modern day Bahrain and parts of Kuwait. And the third was the Indus Valley Civilization. They used to trade with the
Hmm.
Indus Valley Civilization. Simple question: what did they call the Indus Valley Civilization? What did the Sumerians call the Indus Valley Civilization? It's not some obscure name. Trust me, if you have lived in India in the past 10 years, you have definitely, and you're an English speaker, you've definitely heard the name. Even if you're not an English speaker, you probably have heard the name.
Oh, interesting. And you said if you've lived in India for the past 10 years,
Yes,
something
10, 15 years. 10, 15 years,
in the
yeah.
very recent past, then. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say Harappan or Mohenjo-daro or
No,
something like that, but no.
no, those are names we gave. We gave it based on the places where they were discovered, right? The first major
Fair enough.
sites.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They probably didn't call it that back then. You're right.
I will give you a clue.
Okay, I'll take a clue. Yeah.
Think modern day pop culture, Indian pop culture, which is not always restricted to just movies or TV.
I can't think of anything which is significant enough in the Indian musical scene. I was going to say any famous music or musician.
I wouldn't say music.
Okay, so not
I'll
music.
give it to you. It's literature. It's Indian literature. Let's put it this way. I'll give it to you a little more direct clue.
Wow. Indian literature, very recent history, and that is the name that they used to refer to. I am drawing a complete blank. No, I have no idea.
The a piece of literature that I'm talking about, though I will call it loosely literature, this piece of literature that I'm talking about brought a resurgence amongst Indian authors as a whole. A brand new genre was created. I'm not called brand new. There were authors who had
Oh,
kind of talked about it or written about it earlier, but this kind of it brought around a resurgence. Now, basically, you go on Amazon and you find 150 different variants of the same book.
I'm gonna guess Melua.
Yes, it is Melua.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So
Cool.
Meloa was
Wow.
the name that the Sumerians called the Indus Valley Civilization.
I see. Interesting. Wait, so I'm assuming they existed at the same time. So has okay, this is going to again display my absolute ignorance, but did they have a written form of language, and
Yes, so
has that been
So
deciphered?
Sumerians, yes, the Sumerians did have a cuneiform. They had a cuneiform kind of writing system. There are
Okay.
tablets which have been discovered, which show bills of lading and things like that, where they have rules and whatnot. So yes,
Right, right,
the
right.
Sumerians did have because yeah, they are one of the earliest recorded civilizations to have a proper writing.
Okay, great. I think that's the end of our episode.
Yes, that is the end of our episode. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. We hope you enjoyed the show, learned something new. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to our podcast, leave us a review on whichever podcast platform you're listening to us now. It'll help us reach a wider audience, allows more people to discover, love the show. We'd also love to hear from you feedback, suggestions, trivia, sponsorships. Hey, you never know. You can reach us on Instagram at Are You Quizzing Me? We appreciate your support and look forward to sharing more episodes with you in the future. Please stay tuned for Aditya's fact check after the musical sting. But for now, it's all from me. Thanks for tuning in. Have a nice day.
See you guys next week. Bye bye.
Bye.
And here's the fact check for the episode. In the fictional universe of Chak De India, Kabir Khan's Indian men's hockey team loses 0-1 to Pakistan. This match happens sometime in either March or May of 1997, based on the date of the newspaper articles defaming and maligning his name. Khan shows up to the meeting expressing his desire to coach the Indian women's hockey team 7 years and 3 months later. In the same meeting, it is mentioned that the Women's Hockey World Cup is in 3 more months. Doing the math, this means the World Cup happened in 2004 in this fictional universe. So, technically, Ultratech Cement was the official sponsor of the Indian women's hockey team at the World Championship in 2004 and not 2007, according to this fictional universe. I must admit, this is the first time I found a fact check to be entirely frivolous and way too much unnecessary effort. But hey, any excuse to watch Chak De India. Heroin was the brand name for diacetyl morphine and was trademarked by Bayer from 1898 to 1910. Adrenaline, spelled Adrenalin, was trademarked by Park, Davis and Co. However, adrenaline, spelled with an E at the end, is still a common usage term for the same hormone that is also referred to as epinephrine. Bayer trademarked aspirin in 1899, and the chemical name for the same is acetyl salicylic acid. Tom and Jerry was created by Hannah and Barbara when they worked for MGM back in 1940. From 1940 to 1986, it was owned by MGM Studios, and post 1986, it has been owned by Warner Brothers. The Hanna-Barbera studio never owned Tom and Jerry. And that's all for the fact check.